Redeemer lives.
Joy is more than just happiness. Happiness is usually connected to external circumstances. When things are going well, we're happy. When things aren't going so well, we start to feel sad. Joy is more about rejoicing, as Paul talks about in Philippians 4, verse 4. And it's the idea of being glad, regardless of what you're facing. Joy is more about who you are. As Christians, our identity is found in Christ Jesus, Acts 11, verse 26. And nothing that happens to us in this world can take that away from us. It's interesting to consider how Solomon discussed living a joyful life that embraces wisdom. First of all, in Proverbs 12, verse 20, he talked about how those who promote peace and truth have joy. He wrote, "Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but counselors of peace have joy." Deceit means lying. It also carries the idea of bitterness and sorrow. Bitterness and sorrow are expressed through deception by those who plot evil. A joyful individual is a person who's truthful and who cares about peace. In Proverbs 14, verse 10, Solomon gives another description. Sometimes no one is going to understand our joy. He says in Proverbs 14, verse 10, "The heart knows its own bitterness, and a stranger does not share its joy." This proverb reminds us that sometimes bitterness and joy are not understood by others. It isn't easy to understand why an individual might be so bitter. It also might be difficult for some to understand the joy of a Christian. How a Christian can always rejoice in Christ, even during difficult times, is something that non-Christians will struggle to understand. Another thing that Solomon talks about in the book of Proverbs about joy is that finding joy in the wrong things shows a failure to make good choices. In Proverbs 15, verse 21, the Proverbs writer says, "Folly is joy to him who is destitute or lacking of discernment, but a man of understanding walks uprightly." The individual who lacks good sense will find joy in folly, in foolish things. However, a sensible individual follows the correct path, the wise path, and finds true joy. Just because an individual experiences joy doesn't mean that they're on the right path. We must consider what is giving us joy in our life. Once again, the Proverbs writer, he brings up something else about joy, and he mentions that our words can bring us joy. He says in Proverbs 15, verse 23, "A man has joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good it is." We can have joy by giving a good answer or speaking the right thing at the right time. Keeping our words under control brings us joy. But if we lose control of our words, it can bring us anything but joy. Another thing that the Proverbs writer brings to our attention about joy is he says our children can bring us joy, or they can not bring us joy. In Proverbs 17, verse 21, the Proverbs writer says, "He who begats a scoffer does so to his sorrow, and the father of a fool has no joy." I wonder, sort of jokingly here, I wonder which of Solomon's children he had in mind when he wrote that. But children are meant to be a joy to their parents. But if they are fools by living life however they please, living foolishly, living unwisely, Solomon says they bring their parents sorrow instead of joy. The father of a foolish child has no joy in how his child is living. And then the Proverbs writer brings yet again another aspect of joy to our attention. He says, "The just find joy in justice being done." In Proverbs 21, verse 15, the Proverbs writer says, "It is a joy for the just to do justice, but destruction will come to the workers of iniquity." To those who are just or righteous, They find joy in justice. They have nothing to fear. They're doing what's right. However, the workers of iniquity are not doing what is right. And so they have no pleasure in seeing justice done.
Centered on Christ is emailed as an article 5 days a week. Click the link in the description if you want to start receiving Centered on Christ to help with your daily Bible study.